Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so one more playoff series to mention, and of course, I have to tell you guys, you know this already if you follow me, but I'm not someone who follows these two teams very much. So, what I have is a from afar perspective, basically, But we're talking about the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks here, and just got through watching the heroics of Trae Young just make me look like a genius in the midst of everything in terms of matchups and understanding of what basketball matchups should be, telling me that the Atlanta Hawks were to lose the game that they played against the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially after their center, Clint Capella, went down with a knee injury. He overwhelmingly just took over the game and, put on one of the stellar play-in performances you'll see in history. He's going to definitely be someone you consider going forward as a playoff performer, as he's already established himself as leading the team to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So I put my faith in Trae Young, and he did not let me down. I wish I had money on that game. But either way, he now goes into the first round, going up against the Miami Heat, who's had the best record in the league all season long. And as I look at their roster, the thing about the Miami Heat that I have a hard time with is that I look at the back of their bench and I don't see a lot of players that I understand to be high quality performers or producers, rather. But it doesn't matter at all, I think, because they play such fantastic team basketball. They have all of the, as I like to call, elements of basketball in place to be good defensively and offensively. And then they have killers everywhere. You look at a guy like Kyle Lowry, who can shoot you down. A guy like Jimmy Butler, who can shoot you down. A guy like Duncan Robinson, who's going to shoot you down. Tyler Hero, who's probably going to be the sixth man of the year, who can shoot you down. I mean, they just have players. And then guys like Caleb Martin and Strauss and Yurtseven, who are better than serviceable, who can do great things in second units and within the system that they play, give those stars enough of a breather or enough wiggle room to kind of take chances and get fouls and things of that nature. And then you look up and you look at their center position and you realize they got one of the best centers in the league, and Bam Adebayo, who can be a defensive player of the year candidate and can do a lot of things offensively as his game continues to ascend. Every time I see Bam Adebayo, he does something that makes me say, he's not supposed to be able to do that. Like every time I see him play, whether it be crossing somebody up or getting the game-winning block in a big-time game in the playoffs, or was it the finals where he got the game-winning block? I think it was the Eastern Conference Finals where, that game was just all about that block. And, he goes down as one of the great performers in playoff history. He's already been to a NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, where unfortunately he was not available. And, I think he might have made the difference. Maybe we are not champions if they would have had their full team, given the fact that we were, in fact, the team they saw in the bubble. So, I think about a guy like Bam Adebayo, and I just know that his best games are ahead of him. And in the playoffs like this, it would be a shame if his team were to get knocked off in the first round for any reason, because this is when legends are made. He doesn't get the credit he deserves as a center that is basically amongst the best centers in the game. You don't hear him mentioned as an MVP candidate at all. And yet you look at his team and it's been the best of the Eastern Conference all year long. Maybe you can give that to Jimmy Butler. Maybe you may well look at Tyler Hero. Maybe you're looking at the coaching staff and giving them credit. I don't know. But I haven't heard Bam's name mentioned. And I just think he's going to make something of that in this series, especially given the fact that they don't have size that they normally have over there in Atlanta right now. Clint Capella, that looked like an injury that usually keeps you out for a couple weeks. He had someone slam into his leg at a high speed, and it hyperextended his knee quite a bit. Now, we are still awaiting the information as of right now on his MRI, but from what I understand, there's reason to believe there's optimism. So we'll just hold out and assume for right now that he's at least going to miss some time in these playoffs. That's something I can expect and feel confident in saying. What does that mean? Well, they're already down Collins. John Collins has been missing for the past basically month, and that's a player right there that you can count on a normal night to really give him a spell and help with that situation. So you're counting their two starting bigs basically being removed from the series. The good thing is they do have Onyeka Okongwu, who's being groomed to be that type of player anyway. We know he can play big. He also had a game-winning block in the previous game where they just clinched and won against the Cleveland Cavaliers, putting themselves in this position. So you know he can play big, and he's going to have to because he's going to have his hands tied with Bam Adebayo and Yurt-Seven and the bigs that they throw over at him, of course, including P.J. Tucker, who plays the four, although I don't really look at him as a four, but he's had success doing it, and he is a dynamite defensive player. So you know you have to deal with him. So, yeah, this is not going to be easy for the Atlanta Hawks. You know, normally you can bank on the heroics of a guy like Trae Young. You know, I look at guys like Kevin Huerter. You know, he's obviously important in this series. You know, you definitely want to see Gallinari continue to be aggressive. He's a veteran. He's had playoff experience. He's going to be leaned upon in this series. A guy like DeLon Wright, who played extremely well in the play-in game yesterday, he's going to be relied upon when his number's called. He's going to have to play, as he does, great defensively, and just do the little things. You know, just looking at that team as a whole. You know, they got a guy by the name of Kevin Knox that they just picked up from the New York Knicks, someone who didn't get a whole lot of shine there. But Atlanta has been very happy with him. You know, listening to some of the chatter around, they feel pretty confident that he can do some good things for them. I don't know that his number is going to get called because I know that Nate McMillan has a lot of players on the back of that Hawk bench that you and I know can play, but just don't get any opportunities. Maybe he's a part of that mix. I would think that depth is more important in this series, and I would also think that giving those players some playoff experience could go a long way in their development. So I look at the Johnsons on the team. I look at you know, some of the other guys that they have that don't normally get minutes, and I would try to sneak them into this series somehow to get them some minutes, just to get them that experience. They haven't played all year long, but you do have a lot of guys on that Hawks bench that I think with fresh legs and high upside could do something in the spur of the moment. I don't see any harm in digging into your bench, even though it's not normally something that people do in the playoffs. I just believe in hunger. I really do. I believe in hunger, and I think a lot of those kids are itching for an opportunity, and it wouldn't be nothing better than to see them get a couple minutes, see if they can do something with it, depending on the matchups that they're given. I do not believe that you should do it at the detriment of matchups, but I do think that some of those players, particularly Johnson on the back of that bench, especially being that you're down bigs, could go along. It can go a long way. I think he gets easy buckets. I think he's a player with a lot of talent, and unsung heroes have won series in situations such as these in the past. So I know you're going to rely upon Gorgui Dieng. He's a very, very serviceable center, especially since, you know, these are playoffs. You need to rely upon what you can. But if you guys follow me, you know I believe in youth. And you know I believe in those kids on the back of that Atlanta Hawk bench. And I think against the Miami Heat, who's not necessarily looking at any of these guys with them on the drawing board, especially against a really good coach like Spoelstra, you might be able to catch him off guard. Maybe not. I don't know. But you got to try something because I think you're a little too Trae Young eccentric. And for a team like Miami, trust and believe they have schemes for that. They're the best defensive team in the league, arguably. They scheme perfectly, basically. Like I said, team defense, they're the cream of the crop. And that's why they've been at the top of the Eastern Conference all year long. So if you don't throw some monkey wrenches at them and you come at them as conventionally as you normally do, couple that with those missing bigs, you're not going to win a game in this series. So that's just something I think should be considered. I just don't think Gorgui Dieng and, you know, some of the, you know, guys that maybe you would rely upon in this situation is going to be enough to give you any chance against the Miami Heat. Got to give them something unorthodox. So Trae Young is a phenomenal player. You just got to give him an opportunity to get it close. If he gets it close, he can do it with Jimmy. He can do it with anybody. Trust me. There's not a soul in this world that Trae Young doesn't believe he can beat. And if you give him an opportunity to do it, he just may. So if you keep the game close, anything can happen, and that is the key to the Atlanta Hawks. Kevin Huerter's important, man. I keep circling back to this dude because I know how talented he is. And I know he can take on a much bigger load than the Atlanta Hawks have given him an opportunity to receive. Obviously, Bogdanovich as well. He pops up quickly. Those two players, if they're playing at their best, Kevin Huerter and Bogdanovich, if they're playing at their best, they may be able to offset what Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero can do in some ways. They're serviceable and talented enough. I think of a guy like Bogdanovich. He's talented enough to keep up with a guy like Tyler Hero. If he's sharp enough on it, if he's having a good game, he can do it. You know what I mean? So those are very important pieces. Because you're going to deal with so much with Jimmy. You're going to deal with all the ball movement. You're going to deal with everything they got with the bigs. And I think your best bet is to win that three-point battle, which is going to be difficult. Them shooters are great. But I think these shooters are great too. I really do. I think Kevin Huerter is a great shooter. And he can get active on the defensive end. So I trust him. And I would lean on him a lot more given the fact that those bigs are gone. So, yeah, that's something I'm thinking about as well. So, yeah, Hawks are going to have a tough time, man. It just sucks. If they had Clint Capella out there, I'd feel a lot better about them extending the series. But the key to it, of course, is keeping games close. And I don't think Miami's going to allow that to happen. I really don't. You know, I would normally give Trae a game, but he can't beat Miami without Clint Capella. They can't win any games in this series without Clint Capella. And I don't know that he's going to be able to play any games in this series. So I'm going to say this is a sweep. It hurts my heart to say because I believe in Trae Young and I know he can win games. But Miami's throwing too much at them. Kyle Lowry's going to be defensive. He's going to be hounding them. Those are smart defensive players. Jimmy, that double team is going to be stifling. PJ, it's not going to be what we saw last night against Cleveland. No. He may be able to get that off in one game, but the majority of the time they're going to be throwing him so many different looks and they're going to be trying to frustrate him so much that I don't see that being something that he's going to be able to do very often. He's still going to get his numbers, but that closing you out and just doing anything he wants to do night in, night out in this series, he has to be able to pull that off 7 times against the best defensive team in the league. I know that he's not going to. That's too much to ask without bigs. So if Clint Capella can come back into this series, if Collins can come back into this series, play like themselves, hey, they can get a game or two out of this series. They can stretch this thing to 6. If they're fully healthy, Atlanta can keep up with Miami to a degree and give them 6. But without those two, this is a sweep, you guys. This is bed knobs and broomsticks, baby. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna predict this is gonna be short and sweet. Miami's gonna take care of them, man. Atlanta's very, very good. They're gonna have to shoot that ball very well in order to stay in the series. But I just don't know how they win on the boards. Bam is gonna eat a lot, and that's the end. Jimmy's gonna kill him. The end. that's what I see coming. Tyler's gonna knock him off. So they're just gonna get outclassed here, and I don't think anybody should hold their head down in Atlanta. I do think they can go back to the drawing board and condense some of their pieces to give themselves a bit more balance on their roster, so that they don't have so many talented players on the back of their bench who can help them but otherwise can't, with Trae Young being himself. They got to find a way to make that work. So hopefully they give some of those youngsters opportunities, since they basically have a free opportunity to give them that playoff experience. And don't have high expectations, but do play hard, and good things happen. That's what I'll say. My name is BDL44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.